stories, a new crime wave is sweeping the country in form of woolen graffiti. Scientists have invented an invisibility cloak. We help them find it. And the latest in weather around the country, but first a story that will turn your world upside down.
If you think the world is getting more and more topsy-turvy, it turns out you're right. Builders in Germany have built an upside-down house, and before you think they may have read the plans upside down, they did it on purpose. The wacky abode was built as a tourist attraction as well as being a comment on the state of the world. The house is 23 feet tall and rests on its roof and has steel beams in the attic. Inside the house there are beds screwed into the ceiling, upside-down wardrobes, an upside-down kitchen, and even an upturned bathroom, though it's not known if anyone has tried to have a bath in it or go to the toilet. Normally a house like this would take 3 weeks to build. This one took workers over 4 months because they kept getting disorientated by the strange angles of the walls. Many tourists visiting the house complain of feeling sick and dizzy just after a few minutes inside. We now cross over to our reporter Hannah, who's in the house. How are you feeling, Hannah?
Thanks, Holly. I'm here with the owner of the house, Mrs. Funnelhead, and I'm feeling great. So what made you decide to build this upside-down house?
To get into the Guinness World Records for building the most unique house, of course.
What comment do you feel the house makes about the state of the world?
Mars, everything is upside down these days. Cars are going round and round in circles. Trees are going back into the ground, and the Australians think they can beat us in the Rugby World Cup. Luxurious.
What are some of the challenges of living in a house where everything's sort of upside down?
Going to bed is laborious. Going to the toilet, can you even imagine? And then there's cooking dinner. That's another story.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Hannah for 12 News.
Thanks, Hannah. Even watching that makes me feel dizzy. And now for the story that is truly out of sight. Look out, Harry Potter. The world of science is catching up with the world of magic. Scientists in Europe have created a 3D invisibility cloak, which can hide objects by bending light waves. It has been found that light can be controlled using special tiny crystals that make objects disappear. So far, scientists have made small objects such as coins disappear, but hope that it won't be long before they are hiding cars, planes, and even people. People have always dreamed of making themselves invisible, one top scientist says. The possibilities are endless and we are all very excited. However, since inventing the invisibility cloak, the scientists have been having trouble finding it. As soon as we put it down somewhere, it just disappears, the inventor of the cloak said. It appears they are having trouble finding other things too, like their lunch, which they think might be underneath the invisibility cloak. What will this invention actually be used for? Hoping to see through the reasons behind the invisibility cloak. Here is our on-the-spot reporter Corn with more on the story.
Hello, I'm Corn, and with me is Mr. and Mrs. McGonagall, two of the scientists behind the invisibility cloak. Hi Mr. and Mrs. McGonagall, and thanks for joining us today. What made you want to invent the invisibility cloak?
Well, when I was a little girl, I was getting bullied at school, and then I would run into the girls' toilet, but then they would laugh at me and come find me. So then that gave me the experiences of making the invisibility cloak.
Can you show me how the invisibility cloak works?
Sure. Now you see me, and now you don't. Now you see me, and now you don't.
What do you hope the cloak will be used for?
Well, you know Superman. I'm gonna be like him and fight crimes, of course.
Well, that makes things very clear. Thanks for joining us, and we're out of time. Over to you, Holly, in the studio.
Now let's go over to Dom for a look at the stock market. How much money are you making, Dom?
Thank you. Let's have a look what's cool and what's not in the New Zealand So Hot Right Now Index. Firstly, the new design for the $1 coin has been decided. The competition was won by a student at Bledisloe School, Miss Visa Cash. The design features All Black Captain Richie McCaw. Going up is 7 Dwarfs Building Limited, which is trading at 12 cents a share. This is much better than yesterday, when they were worth only about 2 cents. Going down today is Shrek Daycare Services, which used to be really cool but isn't anymore because Shrek's supervision of babies and toddlers is quite frankly substandard. Another thing going up is Prince Charming shoe design, which used to be great, then wasn't for a while, then suddenly was again because Princess Fiona was seen in a Far, Far Away magazine with Prince Charming sequined heels. Now everybody wants one. Well, that's all from me, Dom Collins. Stay stable, New Zealand. Back to the news desk with Amy and Holly.
Thanks, Dom. And now's for an interesting yarn. A new wave of graffiti crime is covering the country thanks to an underground gang known as the Midnight Knitters. These wall-waving criminals are covering tree branches and lampposts with small knitted jerseys and scarves under the cover of the darkness. Police say that knitted activities of the gang are illegal because their woolly crimes are being done on public property without permission. The popularity of woolen graffiti is growing and more public objects are being wrapped up every night. But the problem is growing, police say, and warn that if the Midnight Knitters aren't caught soon, every tree, lamppost and traffic light in the country will be colourfully dressed against the cold. The problem is spinning out of control. They're a close-knit group of dyed-in-the-wool criminals. We're stitching together a case, but it's not seamless. There is no real pattern to the crimes, a police spokesman said today. So far, the criminal knitters have escaped arrest and continue to pull the wool over the eyes of both public and the police. We now go to a secret location with our investigative reporter Cooper, who has an exclusive interview with one of the Midnight Knitters gang.
Thanks, Holly. I'm Cooper, and Thanks, Holly. I'm Cooper, and joining me is the secret top location are two of the members of the Midnight Knitters gang. Hello, Mr. Castoff and Mrs. Caston. Thanks for joining us. What led you to the dark underworld of knitted graffiti?
When we were little, our dad was a teacher and there's graffiti all over the school. We learnt to knit to cover over it, and this passion has remained with us.
Do you see yourselves as criminals?
No, we don't see ourselves as criminals. We love our art form. Oh, and oh God. And yeah.
Apart from trees, lampposts and traffic lights, what else would you like to graffiti with your woolens?
People's houses, so they look more unique. It gives the owners a sense of pride and joy. We love spreading joy, and it might make us filthy rich as well.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Castoff and Mrs. Caston from the Midnight Knitters gang. Now we're over to Hadley and Chloe for the weather update.
Thank you, Cooper, and good evening. Let's have a look at tomorrow's weather. Starting in the far north in Kaitaia, look out for some pretty flash flooding and raindrops as big as your head. If you're going outside, wear a hat. Moving down to Auckland, there will be a fair mix of unfair conditions, but those are the conditions and you'll just have to accept them. There will be no weather at all in the Bay of Plenty. It's taking a short holiday, but it's expected to be back for the weekend in Napier and Hastings. The weather will sometimes be changeable, sometimes not. We really have no idea what will happen there. In Taranaki, a mild depression brings with a very dull day, with no highlights whatsoever. It'll be overcast and gloomy all morning, but things should clear up in the evening, so don't worry, everything will be fine. Wellington will have another capital day. There will be no wind all day and the conditions will be so pleasant they'll actually be classed as extreme. In the top of the South Island, Kaikoura can expect to have a good day, meeting friends for lunch, going for a swim and reading the newspaper, but try to stay indoors as the weather will be just terrible. A real mix for Christchurch, which will have some unreasonable rainfall, some sensible wind, moderate thunderstorms and some very angry snow. And in the lower South Dunedin will be very frosty, cold and unfriendly until late morning, when the sun will pop over for a visit. Everybody likes the sun. That's all for me. Remember, if it's raining outside, that's the weather for you. Good night, New Zealand. Now it's back to the news desk with Amy and Holly.
Thanks, Hadley and Chloe. Finally, we're going over to Michelle for 2 minutes with Jessie J.
I'm Michelle, and today we are having 2 minutes with the famous Jessie J. Hello, Jessie. Thank you for joining us. Firstly, how are you doing today? Jessie, how are you feeling?
Okay, good, great and gorgeous. I had a fantastic night's sleep and I'm looking my best.
What is the best song you have written?
Nobody's Perfect, because it's about the cutest boy I ever met.
What was your inspiration behind your song Price Tag?
Well, I wrote it because all my friends were rich and I thought it was all about money. But it's not. It's really about there being no price in a good friend. Friendship is priceless.
Do you think you'll look or change in the future?
No, I'm happy with how I look. I'll be beautiful no matter how old I am.
I certainly do agree, Jessie. You are a true beauty. Well, Jessie, thank you very much for joining us. This has been 2 minutes with me, Michelle, and the amazing Jessie J. Back to you with you, Holly, at the news desk.
Thank you, Michelle. Well, that's all we have time for. We hope you've enjoyed this evening's broadcast. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time from the whole team at 12 News. Until then, I'm Amy.
And I'm Holly.
Goodbye, inohura.